Joining me now, my BFF, best friend forever, Joe Morrissey, Senator Joe Morrissey. Joe, you're in studio. You're on the phone. I'm with Mothra Bonetta. I'm
Good morning.
Godzilla. Den Black is here. Sue, we got an audience. Kiara, Joe, I just got to say this because I got to be quick because we have to get out of 10. This morning, Kiara decides to shake her bottle of orange juice. Joe, full bottle. She wanted to shake it. You know how you shake orange juice? But Joe, she had already taken the cap off it. And so the orange juice flew all over. And you know, she has big hair, right? Like her hair turned orange. It was all orange. It's a whole blouse, the seat, all the computers, iPhone, everything. Orange juice splattered all over the place.
Oh, poor Kiara. I understand. My 5-year-old and 4-year-old do the same thing.
Joe, last night I went to sleep, but Den and Sue, who you know, of course, and Martha heard were
Yes.
right by the protest, and tell them.
Yes.
What
So last evening we were staying at the Hilton, just adjacent from the Marriott. And it sounded like we were in the middle of a war zone. We heard horns horns, people screaming and yelling. I heard what sounded like fireworks or gunshots. It was like, I couldn't believe it. The last time I heard anything like this, it was on the Gaza Strip. Okay, when I was there for the embassy groundbreaking, that's how bad it was. And lo and behold, apparently there was some sort of a mini mob scene out front. And this morning we drove through Richmond. I hadn't been here in quite some time. And I was amazed to see just the F word written everywhere, all the graffiti on all the walls, things boarded up. I mean, really awful. I mean, I love Richmond. I grew up in Virginia. It's my home. And, to think that Richmond looks like this is just heartbreaking. Do you know what happened last evening? And John and I are wondering, what's the plan for cleaning up Richmond? We were thinking of organizing a clean up Richmond effort to help clean up the city, because it's, we can't have it like this. Not for a minute, not for a second.
Well, first of all, your heartbreaking rendition of what happened is really transcends the whole region. I am a Richmonder. I have been here for 40, 30, 35 years, and I agree with you. It's not the Richmond that I know. Let's just review. This all started 2 weeks ago when Mayor Stoney's police tear gassed a peaceful crowd of protesters, moms and children, at 7:30 p.m. sharp. Why? Because they wanted them to obey their curfew at 8, but they had done nothing. Since that time, it has been every single night there's been more destruction.
Yes.
I spoke with the former chief of police of Petersburg and a former major in Richmond last night, an African-American named John Dixon, and he said the entire way it's been handled by the mayor has been horrible, and he has reacted to every single event. Reacted, not proactive. And it's, here's what he should have done. Here's what the police should have done. The first time they assembled, the very first time, if I was the mayor, I would have been out there, not with 100 canisters of tear gas, but 100 coolers filled with cold water, passing it out, saying, hey, you guys are doing a great job, march wherever you want, and the police would be handing out the water, not handing out tear gas. Number one. Number two, you meet with the protesters and say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? How can we help you? How can we protect you? That's what you do. Instead, they've established an antagonistic relationship from the onset, and it is literally, not figuratively, but literally destroying Richmond. So what does the mayor do first? He was booed off the steps of City Hall. Then he tried to join the group. They booed him away. Then he said, well, let me give him an olive branch, and he says, I'm going to take down 4 statues. He never said that during the mayoral race, that he was going to take down the statues. And when the Monument Avenue Commission recommended it, he didn't agree to it, but he's trying to save himself. What did he do yesterday? He's got to do something else. His political life is in tatters. He fires the Richmond police chief. Now, follow me on this logic. Last week, he apologized for the tear gassing of citizens, took responsibility, but then yesterday he fires the police chief. How about firing yourself?
Fire himself. Resign.
Yes, exactly. You want the riots to stop? Resign. Step down. He is not a leader. He's a child. He's had no experience. He was Terry McAuliffe's body man, driver, for 8 years. He ran a campaign when he was on student council at James Madison University, has no degree in accounting, business, advanced degree in accounting, business, urban planning, urban management. Terry McAuliffe appoints him to a secretary of the Commonwealth, and he spends 4 years doling out patronage positions and collecting chits to run for mayor. You've got to do something in life. Be something. Learn. My dad used to say, learn something, do something, be something.
So
he's failed in all three areas.
So, Joe,
and that's what's going on right now.
Well,
Powerful
Joe,
words.
And the other thing, Joe, is let's not forget this. Even before this started, Joe, he ran against you. Of course, everybody knows I backed Morrissey, and I was very, much to my chagrin, Stoney beat him. But, Joe, he ran in 2016 as the education mayor. That was his platform. I'm going to be the education mayor. I'm going to be sure that African Americans and people of color have a fair education, good education in this town. He railed against the schools. What the hell's he done, Joe? Nothing. Let's look at his record. When he comes in, 80% of Richmond high schoolers graduated. He had a 20% dropout rate, which he said in 2016 was abysmal and an embarrassment. He also said it was racist, if I remember, or something similar to that, right? 4 years later, he's supposed to be the education mayor. The dropout rate has gone up, Joe, 50%. It went from 20% to 30%. 94%, Joe, of those children, young adults, teenagers that drop out of high school, right? 94% are kids of color. 58% are black. So all of his numbers in dropouts went up 50%. The guy's a complete fraud, and he spent all his time trying to build some arena downtown that nobody wants, so he could run for governor. This guy is abysmal, Joe.
Well, the last point is the most powerful and poignant one that you made. They were all excellent points. But listen, you have so much currency, political currency. You have so much time, effort to spend during a day, during a month, during a year. He spent 2 years trying to build a $650 million coliseum that would benefit the developers in downtown Richmond. And the city would have been saddled with $650 million in debt over the next 30 years. And he refused to look at the facts. Don't blind me by the facts, he said. And then finally, after efforts led by Goldman, myself, Justin Griffin, Kim Gray, people realized, whoa, the city's general revenue, general fund is $650 to $700 million. He wants to spend $700 million on a coliseum. Whoa, that doesn't make sense. But look what happened, John, when you put all of your efforts into building a big white elephant, which, by the way, he promised not to do. Mm-hmm. He promised not to do when he was running. Mm-hmm. Then how can you put your efforts into the schools? You can't.
Right.
You can't. And it's been a disaster. And, and listen, let's be clear. Stoney won in 2016. I am mindful that I lost. I led that race for 10 and a half months, wire to wire, until the Richmond Times-Dispatch did a false and malicious series of stories in the waning days that is now the subject of a circuit court lawsuit. But that's fine. God, as my mother said, works in mysterious ways. All right? God has a plan. But
yeah, you got screwed, Joe. You got. But just sidebar for the people that are new that don't know, you got screwed. Okay, that basically it. You were going to win that race. They didn't want you as mayor. None of the business community didn't want you. The Chamber of Commerce didn't want you. The politicians didn't want you. The bureaucracy didn't want you. You know why, Joe? You know why they didn't want you? Because they can't. Because they can't control you. That's why. Right. They want a puppet. You weren't their puppet, and so they screwed you out of that mayorality, and it hurt the people at Richmond.
But look what. But again, I am a big believer that there's a grand picture at work here. But I remained silent, John, and you know this, for 2.5 years. I didn't say 2 years. I wished Stoney privately and publicly the best. I wanted him to be wildly successful because if he was successful, the city would be successful. But it was just fiasco after fiasco, and now people are wondering, why is Richmond burning?
Yep.
Why, folks? Because you've got a child who's holding the matches. And as a father of 4 little kids, guess what you don't do? You don't let children play with matches. So that's what's happening. That's why Richmond is burning, because we have a child who is the titular head.
Morrissey. You know what, Joe? Where's the Fighting Joe Morrissey show? We need you now more than ever. I mean, you helped us launch this company. Now we just bought another two radio stations. It started today.
But,
AMA 20. Look, I just got this text here.
Listen. I'm coming back. By the way,
when, Monday?
To John Fredericks Radio Network. You've added 2 more radio stations to your collage of stations. You now have a larger footprint than the previous radio station, WRBA. You are the voice when it comes to politics and news in Richmond and Central Virginia, actually, not in Richmond and Central Virginia. So kudos to this. Let me just add one other thing. I loved listening to your point about Michael Douglas and Wall Street number 2. Here's my favorite quote from Wall Street number 2. When Michael Douglas looked at one of his nemesis and he said, listen, I'll make you a deal. You stop telling lies about me, and I'll stop telling the truth about you. Do you remember that one?
I do. That was a classic line. The Wall Street, the second one with Michael Douglas was actually, like normally sequels aren't that good. The second one was as good, if not better, than the first one because it had some great lines in it, and that was one of them. You stop telling lies about me, and I'll stop.
I used that in a political debate one time. My opponent said something about me, and I said, oh, listen, mate. I'll make you a deal. Stop telling lies about me, and I'll stop telling the public the truth about you. But I didn't give him credit. Hey, listen, you guys are doing a great job over there. Keep it up. John, here's a promise to your listening audience.
Okay.
The Joe Morrissey Show is coming back. All right?
When?
It's going to be very soon. It really
See,
is.
I hate that word soon. That's what Ann says. I don't like that. What does that mean? I don't know what soon means. What was that, like a day?
Hey, John,
or is that 6 months?
Question. What is the question that you ask Ann that she says, soon, John, soon? What's the question, John?
Can't say it over the air. John Fredericks Radio Network.